30 seconds. 20 seconds. 10 seconds.
'Hello, there we are. We have sound. Good evening and welcome to Formula Racing League. I'm not sure if you've not been hearing me for the past 5 minutes. We're off to a great start tonight. Apologies if not, but good evening and welcome if this is the first time you are hearing my lovely dulcet tones tonight. I am Mr. Lewis Robinson in the commentary box on PlayStation 5 Formula Racing League, and we have 3 hours of Kyalami tonight, season finale of the PlayStation 5 Driver Swap Series 2 Championship. 5 teams in the hunt. SBR in 77 leading the championship by only 10 points, separated with SBR Endurance and Turn 1 Sim Racing. So 3 teams in the hunt, well technically 5, but two cars are kind of outside chances, but your 3 main cars, SBR 77, SBR Endurance and Turn 1 Sim Racing, they're in the top 4 of the grid now. We're about to go green lights here at Kyalami. Let's get ready for some serious racing here tonight. 3 hours of Kyalami, season finale. Any moment now, green light, surely. It's a very long straight here at Kyalami. There we are, green, green, green. We're away. So SBR Buzov, Nikola Buzov is going down the inside. He's got Melvin Cruz on the outside. Is that Bellerin? Bellerin, the French connection team, is making it 3 wide into turn 1. So in they go. We've got no contact. All very clean racing so far. We've got very clean for most of the grid. No incidents. We've got green flags. Great to see. We've got the 213 car there of the BMW. So the 2 BMWs leading the way, the 208 and the 77 car. So Buzov is under extreme pressure here. He's getting swallowed up by those BMWs. That's an absolute phenomenal start from one of the BMWs. I think that's potentially the 1 second slower team. We'll just wait for the UI to update on the left hand side as the PlayStation 5 has the BMW getting a little bit excited on the power there. So we have got 2 BMWs leading the way here. That is Melvin Cruz for SBR Endurance, the French Connection team. I believe Will Friedman, the smoking Frenchman, did qualify, but Thomas Bellarmine is in the car. I did say the 208 car. It shows us 208 on the side door, but you'll notice it's 46 on the left hand side, so apologies for the confusion there. So Bellarmine leads in second place. Buzov SBR 77, so that is the title leading car at the moment, championship leading car at the moment, but dropped 2 places. So Buzov is down to third. The Ferrari just getting swallowed up by those 2 Beamers out this opening lap. Adam Anderson with a very solid start, remaining in 4th place. The 888 Ferrari with their very iconic T1SR livery there. De Stefano for BRC Racing Team in P5, Duffin in P6, Van der Waal P7, Leishout P8. Mihawka is the car in P4 in the championship for 1 second slower, outside contender for the title tonight. P9, they dropped 1 place, I believe, from their starting position. Holzerfeld P10 for EGT Black, Baumgarten JBB Racing, Massive for CDTB, Sorge for EGT Green, Sterling for Turn 1 Sim Racing, the sister car for the title challenger. Bitterman for Baltic Sea Racing in the Porsche tonight. Poppersil for Czech Console Racing, that's a disappointing position for them. Fernie for Simplay Racing in P17, and Thomas von der Trek in P18 for Virtual Racing League, our very good friends over at Virtual Racing League. If you are watching, anyone from VRL, welcome, good evening, welcome to the stream. Hopefully von der Trek and his driver does well tonight. So let's just bring you back to the action right at the start of this race. Buzov just under half a second to the back of Thomas Bellarmine. Bellarmine, an extremely quick driver. I remember him very much from my days on PlayStation 5. He is very quick, but all of these guys at the top end of this grid are very quick. Cruz, Bellarmine, Buzov, Anderson, Stefano and co. They have got fast purple laps in them every single time. So this is going to be an absolute corker of a race. Strap yourselves in for the next 2 hours and 56 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Get yourself a cold beverage, a few snacks. It's going to be a long one. So, Melvin leads SBR Endurance. We're on lap 3 here, and there is the purple lap, as I was just saying a few moments ago, for Thomas Bellarmine for the French Connection in the Volkenhorst Motorsport BMW tonight. That gap, though, they're certainly not pulling away. The top 4, the top 5 are starting to build a little bit back to Duffin in P6, but these BMWs are certainly looking steady, smooth and steady, slow as smooth, smooth as fast, as they used to say. But the Ferrari, a title contender of SBR 77, Nikola Buzov, a gentleman I know very well, is trying to hang on to those Beamers. It's just about building in now, settling into that rhythm, building the confidence in the car, bringing the tyre temperatures up, just settling into that race pace. There is a long way to go. Strategy can play a part here as well. There is no max driver stint limit as well, it must be said, so there is no 65-minute stint timer, so drivers can go to the hour, they can box every 45, they can do a full tank. It is open strategy tonight, people, so just keep your eyes out for those boxing a little bit early, those staying out. What we've got going on back here, let's just try and see if we can get you the helicam. Yes, we can. We've got cars all over the shop, so we've got lights out having a look up the inside of Duffin, and that he's gone very deep. He's lost control. McLaren's lost control there. That was a very racy move on only the opening 6 minutes of the race, and that has not worked for him. I'm not surprised. He looked like he was $1 short there on the brakes, and that has not worked out for the 100 McLaren. He's going to drop right the way down. I think he's gone potentially gone down to P16. We'll just wait for the UI to update. Let's have a quick look at the sharp end of the grid, because look at this, Bellarmine is making moves on Melvin Cruz, the 2 BMWs having a ding-dong battle here at Kyalami. Let's get on board and let's see if we can bring some on-board action. Let's see if I can remember how to work these controls on PlayStation 5. It's been a while. Hang on, just bear with me, ladies and gentlemen, apologies. Here we go. I've managed to work it. On board with the BMW. Just while we're watching this on board, I'll just reconnect with my chat so I can see the live comments coming in. It's been a bit of a frantic start to this race and this live stream with me not hearing any sound, so I will catch up with your comments in a short while. But for the moment, are we going to see a move on the number 1 SBR Endurance car? Let's go with the helicam and see if Bellarmine makes a move at the inside. He has a quick look. He doesn't fancy it. He's just letting Melvin Cruz know he's there. He's letting him know he's there. He's not making a move just yet. And now, I think Buzoff is just, with those BMWs just squabbling away a little bit in that last lap, just allowed Nikola Buzoff to just close that gap ever so slightly. It's now 0.3 of a second as they go into the braking zone off turn 1. And that top 5 certainly are pulling a gap. I mean, it's 9 seconds already to P6. So that top 5 really are pulling away. Back on board with Thomas Bellarmine. So yeah, just to reconfirm, warm welcome to those watching live. Thank you for joining the live stream. Apologies for the very late stream tonight and the microphone issues. It's been a while since I've been in the commentary box, but great to have you with us live. Please do drop a like on the stream. Make sure you're following the Formula Racing League various social media channels. We're on Instagram, Twitch and YouTube, where you can catch the majority of the highlights across PC and PlayStation 5. We've got some extremely exciting races coming up across Formula Racing League, especially on PlayStation 5, as we have the 12 Hours of Monza coming up on November the 18th. That is the next big endurance race on PlayStation, and as you can see, it is a ding-dong affair to be involved in, as we've got the top 3 title contenders just making this first 9 minutes of this race an absolute quality battle. And we're going to get 2 hours and 51 minutes of this. I'm going to need a few paracetamols to keep me calm. Let's look at this. Quality racing from all 3. They're just biding the time. They're just trying to pressure each other into a mistake. And just, as I said, just building into that rhythm. But it's a very quick rhythm indeed. Let's look how close Nikola Buzoff is now. Let's bring you some telemetry. There we go. Bring you the TV cam. So just to confirm, top 10, SBR Endurance, Melvin Cruz P1, Bellarmine P2, Buzoff P3, and Adam Anderson P4, Di Stefano P5, Duffin P6, Mihulka P7 for 1 second slower, Holzerfeld P8 and Van der Velde P9, and Baumgarten rounds up the top 10. 18 cars racing tonight. I'll bring you the action throughout the grid. Just for the moment, I am just highlighting the top 3 due to how ridiculously close they are, but I will do my best to bring you the rest of the action throughout the grid as things settle down throughout this evening, as we see Nikola Buzoff taking that Ferrari for a little bit of crop dusting in the background. Luckily, he manages to keep the car very much straight on the track. Let's just have a look at car number 18, because Duffin is under a lot of pressure here. If you think Melvin Cruz is under pressure up front, look at this train that is forming here. There is steam coming off the cars behind him. Duffin for Simplay Racing, car number 18. The Ferrari is blazing a hole through that wind down the start-finish straight. He's got Mihulka, Holzerfeld, Van der Velde and Baumgarten all following in behind. This is a ding-dong battle for the top 10 here. As I think the BMW of Mihulka has just gone a little bit wide. That may have opened the door for the Lamborghini. And all this battling is just making that top 5 go up the road. They're side by side, a little bit of contact round the right-hander. And it's now going to be 3 wide into this next... Oh, there's contact! Big contact! Oh, dearie me. Numerous contacts. Oh, that BMW. Oh, there's more contact as well. Hold your brakes, guys. Hold your brakes. Oh, the stewards are going to be looking at that. The drivers are going to be shaking their heads. And that BMW, you're going to need a bit more than T-cut to get that damage out. Oh, there's more contact as well. Dearie me. Looks like a bit of a potential dangerous rejoin there. So that's the EGT Black team porting back to the pits. Oh, let's just try and pick the bones out of that in a few moments' time. Let me just get back to the top of the grid before we miss any more action. Blimey. So the winners and the losers out of that looks like it's car 46. So it's Simplay Racing. Fernie is the car who's lost out there, and the 242 car. Who is that? Why is 242 not showing on my screens? Is that Turn 1 Sim Racing? It is. Wow. Luckily for them, that is the car. I'll just double check actually before I'm about to say something very silly. Let me just double check my championship standings before I confirm which car that is. Yes, I was going to say, and I was correct. I was going to say, luckily for them, that isn't their championship contender tonight, as that is a 888 of Adam Anderson. So luckily for them, it is not their championship contending car. And here is Adam Anderson. Very good friends of mine over at Turn 1 Sim Racing. I know a couple of them probably are watching tonight. If you are, hello gentlemen, best of luck tonight. Good to see you on the grid. I know Anderson is an extremely quick driver. So we've got quite a big gap now, quite a severe gap following that incident a lap or two ago. But we've still got, if we see, who is that? Is that 707? That could be a potential. That's a Mercedes. Is that Vondertrek? It is. So Thomas moves up to P12 with a good move down the inside at the top of the hill. He then got Sorge in the Lamborghini, putting him under a little bit of pressure from behind now. That was a great move, but look at this. Baumgarten is under a lot of pressure here for JWB Racing. He has got Massa behind, he's got Lieshout as well, Southern State Racing. Porsche, Lamborghini and McLaren battling away. That's the battle for P8. And look at this, back to the sharp end of the grid. Bellarmine and Melvin Cruz. This is the two BMWs. The BMWs are looking extremely sharp around Kyalami. It's the car that I drive, so I am biased towards the Beamer, but it's a very good car around here. And these two drivers are certainly demonstrating that tonight, with 15 minutes gone. So yet again, Bellarmine just really keeping it nice and composed, racing behind Cruz. He's not making any rash moves. His teammate, Mr. Will Freeman, will be very happy with his driving so far. He's in a perfect position. He's not making any rash decisions. He's just keeping it nice and calm behind. Sticking with Melvin, SBR Endurance, lovely. I know Ben Freeman, who has potentially got the stream on in the background while talking to Melvin. Ben will probably be having a sweaty, a few sweaty moments while watching this, but but knowing Ben as I do, he'll be relishing this battle tonight, absolutely relishing it. And if you're going to win a championship title, the best way is by winning it in a very competitive race with cars who are quicker or the same pace, or if not quicker than you. So I know these guys will be relishing this battle tonight. So unfortunately we have lost one car, so we are down to 17 cars for the rest of the race. But to be honest, the number of cars on track tonight does not bother me when we have got this absolute ding-dong battle between these top guys. The top 5 tonight, I reckon anyone from this top 5 can win this. I mean, stranger things have happened, but considering the gap to P6 is already 18 seconds, or 17.3 to be precise, it is an extremely big gap after only, what, 18 minutes of racing. So this top 5 is certainly in within a shout. And just a word at Adam Anderson. Do you know what I was about to say about Turn 1 Sim Racing? They've got to be careful not to lose the back end of this pack too much. And as I looked up, just before I was about to say that, I noticed they got the purple lap. So Adam Anderson certainly isn't struggling to hang on, but he's 1.87, 1.8 behind BRC Racing Team, De Stefano. Going along nicely, probably just protecting his tyres. Now down to 2 seconds, but he's got to be careful not to drop too far back. He wants to hang on to the top 4 and just remain within a sniff on what is happening up here, as we see him getting a little bit sideways into turn 1. Guten Abend, Frudo, Cello, wie geht's? Meine Deutsch ist nicht gut. So back marker coming up. I think this is the Turn 1 Sim Racing of Karuna in the 63 Lamborghini. So a little bit of traffic early on to contend with here for the leading 5. So I am on my own in the commentary box tonight, so please do drop your comments and any questions, any support for fellow drivers. Please do drop it in. Please do say hello. Keep me entertained for the next 2.5 hours or so. Cello, good evening. I am fine. Just a little shocked after the accident of our teammate. Yeah, unfortunate. Really unfortunate. It looked. From my view, it looked a little bit of a racing incident from what I remember. A lot happened in a very short space of time, but what I did remember, it looked a racing incident. You know, it was 3 wide at one point. Oh, Adam Anderson, the Triple Eight Championship contender, P3 or P2 in the Championship. I'll have to double check my standings again. Has lost it out of turn 4. So Adam Anderson, now that is potentially one hand off the trophy tonight. Yeah, Turn 1 Sim Racing, P2 in the Championship. 11 points off SBR 77. And that has just handed match point, potentially to SBR 77 in that battle between those two teams. Let's not forget there are other battles going on, especially SBR Endurance. So just to remind you of just the context to this battle tonight, ladies and gentlemen, the two teams, the two cars you're seeing in P1 and P2 right now with Buzoff and Crows, these are the teams who are fighting for the championship. They are both SBR teams, but they are occupying P1 and P3 in the championship. There is only 14 points separating them. SBR Endurance has got themselves in the perfect position so far, because I think anything, a top 2, top 3 result will seal it for them. I'll have to check my mathematics at some point in the race to confirm the finishing positions in the various permutations that could be happening tonight, but we've got a long way to go, so I won't even bother getting into the mathematics of it at this moment in the time. But just looking at the gaps, Buzov has just dropped back a little bit. I think that traffic with the lap cars has not helped. It's just caused him to drop a couple of seconds to Crows. So this is where SBR Endurance, the number one car, the reigning championship champions, have a little bit of an opportunity now just to kind of extend that gap a little bit, just to stretch the legs of that Beamer. You know, just keeping one eye on tyre life, tyre temperatures, but just an opportunity here just to kind of manage that gap now of 2.2 seconds to Buzov. And Stefano is right behind Buzov, so the two Ferraris now are battling. We've gone from the two BMWs to the two Ferraris, as I've just noticed as well. Bellarmine has dropped back to P4 as well, the French connection. Apologies for that, I've missed Thomas Bellarmine dropping back 2 places. So Bellarmine down to 4 for the 46 BMW, as De Stefano has a look down the inside of Nikola Buzov. Is he going to make the move stick? No, he isn't. Oh yes, he is. He has got the move done. Down round the outside, so De Stefano, the 52 Ferrari, around the outside of turn 1, gets the move done on Nikola Buzov. And BRC has just said, hang on guys, SBR Endurance, you're locking out the front row here. I've got something to say about this. As Thomas Bellarmine has a look up the inside as well of Nikola Buzov. So SBR at 77 is just dropped 2 places in the space of 3 corners. So the title championship leading car just cracking a little bit in this very early stage of this battle of the title decider at Kyalami. A great move, some fantastic racing there. First of all from De Stefano in for BRC Racing, a cracking move on the outside of turn 1, and then Bellarmine on a sweeping right-hander. Great move. So up to you now, Buzov, to show what you've got in that Ferrari. Game on. Let's have a look down the grid just while these guys are settling in. Let's give some camera time to some of the guys what's happening here, because look at this battle here. I've been raving on about the top 4, and we're forgetting all the action that's happening back here. Thomas Vondertrek, look at this, up to P10 now from back of the grid for Virtual Racing League. The 87 AMG Mercedes, he's potentially going to make this P9 now. He's looking to the outside, Baumgarting in the Porsche, going quite defensive on the inside there. He's going to make a bit of a switcheroo, the Mercedes. No, he isn't. But they both go a little bit wide. Both got to avoid the sausage curb coming up. They both do that just about nicely. Don't go too wide either. Get the car stopped, turning it in left, down to second gear, probably maybe first gear in the AMG Mercedes. Onto the power. Porsche is going a little bit wide. Is that going to compromise his straight line speed? Potentially. Here we're going to see a move here from Thomas Vonderchek in the 87 AMG Mercedes, 707 shall I say. The numbers really are confusing me on PlayStation 5. I don't know if this is just a PlayStation 5 bug, but the numbers are not matching those on the car, so I keep calling out different numbers. I would be an awful bingo caller right about now, because you're all probably looking down at the UI thinking, why do you keep saying that number? It doesn't match to what's on the screen. I do apologise, it's not my fault, it's just the game is just throwing me different numbers. It's like I'm playing 2 different games of bingo. It'll only get worse as well as the evening goes along, as I progressively get more and more into my pack of beer that I've got next to me. Obviously, I am live on air, so drink responsibly, kids. Drink responsibly. Nikola Buzov, 0.2 off Bellarmine. just watching the rear wing here of Baumgarten. Oh, what's happened here? That was a very slow on the power. Let's just get back on with board with the TV camera. I am not sure what happened to Baumgarten, but he has just almost like his car just went into like anti-stall mode or something. He's lost a few places. Goes through Thomas Vondertrek, Bitterman, Mihulka as well, I think, goes through. The very battered up BMW for the 415, 1 second slower team. It looks like it's going to be failing an MOT any day now, but it's still going strong, and fair play to them for still sticking at it. As the Porsche of Bitterman for Baltic Sea Racing, just getting a little bit excited there. And Mihulka, is he going to have a look at the inside? He isn't. He doesn't want to add any more damage to that BMW. But really not sure what happened there to Baumgarten. He just had a really strange exit. Whether he just took too much curb, I don't know, but it sounded like the car bogged down a little bit. So what was I saying earlier about 10 minutes ago? I'm just trying to remember. I'm trying to keep my insanity here and just trying to remember what I was talking about. So, upcoming races on Formula Racing League. So the Monza 12 hours, November the 18th is the next big endurance race on PlayStation 5 for Formula Racing League. We have got 12 hours of the Festival of Speed at Monza. We do have a full grid, I believe. So we're going to have commentary, hopefully, for that sorted live on Twitch. So please do keep your eyes peeled for that. It's going to be an absolute cracking race for the teams here on PlayStation 5, but it's epic. It's epic that we can bring you endurance racing on PlayStation 5 with ACC. I know it's been going now for a year or so, probably a little bit less than a year, but it is really good for these guys to be able to experience driver swaps on console. And then if you are on PC, we have an absolute cracking calendar lined up for next season on PC. We're about 4 or 5, maybe even 6 weeks away from the season start. We've got quite a long break currently in the off season now on PC, but November is when it all starts. And it isn't just focused on ACC. This is my big shout out. We have got a new series starting on Tuesdays on R Factor 2. So British touring car content, BTC. If you want to get involved, get yourself R Factor 2. It's dirt cheap. You can pick up the DLC for about 25 quid, British UK pounds, and get yourself involved and sign up on that on SimGrid. It's going to be a really exciting season, a little bit more chilled out. It's just breaking up what we do on ACC and providing a little bit different content on style of racing that we normally do. So please do check out the R Factor 2 on Formula Racing League. And then we return to Thursdays with the Pure Sim Gear Pro, Silvers, Pro-Ams and Ams, the Rookies and the Masters on Thursdays. And there will be a late night series as well, as we see the Ferrari. Oh, is that Buzov? It is. Nikola Buzov is on. He interrupts my plugs about the upcoming series. So Nikola Buzov, he's having a couple of sketchy moments here, as I'm just going to say a very warm welcome to Mr. Chris Gedman, the grass cutter himself. How you doing, Chris? Great to have you with us, mate. Hope you're well. Not spoken to you in a few days or weeks. Looking forward to sharing a beer with you, mate, at Donington in a couple of weeks' time. Just don't stand next to me. If you're about 7 foot tall, you're gonna make me feel like a very small man, even though I'm 6'1" myself. You can stand next to Mark though, because he's dead tall. He's dead small. Stand next to Mark. So, let's have a look at Bitterman. He's just closing that gap a little bit to Baumgarten. And as my very good friend Moobot has just pointed out on the Twitch stream, please do check out FRL on Instagram. There's some really good content on there. You can see all the winners, race winners from the various races, and the posters and all the news about upcoming series on our Instagram page as well. And yes, so what was I plugging? I was plugging the Thursday night one play, and then yeah, we've got the late night Friday on PC. And then yes, I was just commenting on the fact of sharing a beer with Mr. Chris Gedman. If you are wondering, we are having a FRL real, non-virtual meetup at Donington Park for the British GT Championship in 2 weeks' time. Donington in the East Midlands. If you are around, if you are UK based and you are racing with FRL, feel free to come down, say hi to us. Buy yourself a ticket to the Saturday or to the Sunday, or both. Come and say hi, have a few beverages with the boys. It'd be great to see you there. You'll get to hear my awful jokes all weekend. So, let's just bring you back a little bit to the action as we are about to approach, or just tick beyond the halfway mark into this first stint. So, Melvin Cruz for SBR Endurance leads the way with 2.3 seconds to Di Stefano for BRC Racing Team. And as I said 10 minutes ago, BRC just saying, hi SBR, we're here, we've got something to say about this race. So BRC doing well, P2. The French Connection in P3 with my very good friend Mr. Will Friedman, who will be getting into the car at some point tonight. The smoking Frenchman himself. He's probably currently chain smoking about 10 Marlboro Golds, getting himself fueled up for his stint. Nicola Buzov, P4, SPR 77, the title, sorry I keep saying title, the championship leader currently. However, that may all change as SPR Endurance is leading the way currently. Adam Anderson, my good friends over at Turn 1 Sim Racing, currently still the purple lap holder in P5, but that incident coming out of Turn 4 a few laps ago has just caused the 888 Ferrari to fall off the pace a little bit, or fall off the pack, shall I say, rather than the pace. It's a little bit of no man's land at the moment for Adam Anderson, but that can come back. There is a long way to go. 2 hours and 25 minutes. There is a lot can happen in that time frame. I will know all about that after failing miserably at the Spa 24 hours a few weeks ago. And if you don't know the story, I was 3 hours from the end, 21 hours into a 24-hour race, and a bug occurred. We could not swap drivers. The race over, car in the garage, race done. 21 hours in. Unbelievable, Jeff. So the moral of that story is a lot can happen in 2 hours and 25 minutes, and Carl Bitterman is trying to prove just that, as he is all over the back of that fellow Porsche of JWB Racing, Baumgarten, and the Lamborghini. Oh, Baumgarten pits. We've got an early box, a very early box, unless they're going for 45-minute stints, but that would still be a little bit early. So interesting to see there for Baumgarten. Let's just try and keep an eye on how long that stop is. I will try and do my best to keep an eye on how long that stop is. I'm trying to keep my eyes on a million things at once with myself on my own in this commentary box. Just trying to think of what to say is a struggle, a big enough struggle for me. I can't speak English. So this is going to get very tasty. Van Lieshout, Sorge and Fernie the Lamborghini and Porsche. Actually, that's the Bitterman, sorry. Bitterman, Sorge and Van Lyshout. They're side by side, the McLaren and the Lamborghini. Oh, one of them going to touch the sausage curb? They're not. They go single file very sensibly around the infamous sausage curb. And they all, three of them, make it around without contact. The car of the early boxer as I'm going to call them, I believe that was a driver swap. Just trying to confirm that. I think it was. So Stein is now in the car for JWB. So I believe that was a driver swap. My memory really is awful. Should be a lot better for a commentator, really, shouldn't it? I do apologise. However, look at this battle we have brewing here. Brewing in South Africa. Kyalami, Bitterman P11, Van Lyshout P12, and Sorge in EGT Green P13. Three-way battle. Oh, the Porsche goes a little bit wide. That's going to open the door to the McLaren. Van Lyshout's going to go, thank you very much, I'll have some of that. Sorge's just trying to get two for the price of one as well. He's not going to manage to get that deal over the line. So Van Lyshout, Bitterman manages to keep hold of P12, but he has lost P11. So Van Lyshout goes on flying on through for Southern State Racing. The McLaren has now got the opportunity, a little bit of clean air, to stretch the legs of the British car manufacturer McLaren. Very fast car, and down the inside the Lamborghini. Is he going to make the move? Stick on the brakes. They're both heavy. They avoid contact. The Lamborghini, a little bit of door banging. It's good heavy racing. Look at that fantastic recovery from Bitterman in the Porsche. He did a the Lamborghini's lost it. Made contact with the barrier, and we've got bonnet damage. We've got a little bit of flappy bonnet syndrome, and Bitterman boxes. So I think we've got a couple of cars here doing the 45-minute stints. And Sorge is just trying to get that Lamborghini under control. It's like a wild bull trying to tame the Lamborghini on traction. And they also box to fix that damage. Now, is that going to be them also committed to a 45-minute stint, driver stints? Will be fixing that damage. So it was a fair battle, a very good racing between the two of them in terms of racing etiquette. They left each other space. There was a bit of a door up, but completely fair, hard racing. And they just lost it on his own. Lost it on the power, I believe. A little bit of traction control issue there. So, Baltic Sea Racing and EGT Green are both in the box and probably fixing damage and swapping drivers. Let's just refresh ourselves and refresh myself where we are with the top four. So, Cruz, Stefano, Bellarmine, Buzov and Adam Anderson is the top five. That is as you were a few laps ago. Thank you for joining us live in the box tonight. You are watching Formula Racing League season finale of the PlayStation 5 driver swap. I'll be back with you in a few moments. And I am back in the commentary box. If I sound a little bit out of breath, you should see the stairs here at Kyalami. It is an absolute mountain climb to the commentary box. I know, it's a bad joke, I do apologise. So, what we've got going on here, we've got... Is that a BMW? But Thomas Belleman, it is! It is the French Connection team darting into the pit lane. So, again, what? Very quite early. You know, another early stop. I wasn't expecting so many cars to make so many early stops. So an interesting strategy here. And be very interesting. Oh, and Turn 1 Sim Racing are also in as well. So, 2 pit crews having to run out of their box to get the 2 cars serviced with a tyre change, a bucket load of fuel, and a new, potentially fresh driver in the box. As we see, Val Racing Team coming in as well. So, yeah, I'm just surprised the amount of teams that are committing to 40-45 minute stints for the drivers. I was expecting a couple of cars to go to the hour, which we may still get, obviously. We've still got, what, 60 minutes left of this first opening hour. Just be interesting to see now what SBR Endurance and BRC do, and also SBR 77. Let's just try and keep our eyes on those top 3. Virtual Racing League are also in, so Thomas Vonderchek is in the box. He'll be dabbing himself with his towel. And that is not a euphemism. That isn't a joke either. If you do watch Thomas Vonderchek, you know he does get quite sweaty. Oh, Thomas. He does like to dab himself with a nice cold flannel while racing. You go check him out, go follow him on YouTube. He has a great YouTube channel live streaming all his races. He has a nice little camera set up so you can see him while he's in his rig. Do go check out Vonderchek on YouTube, Virtual Racing League car number 87. It's a very nostalgic night for me. I sound like I've been away from PlayStation for years. It hasn't. It's probably been about 3 months since I've made the move to PC. But it is nice to be back. As we see BRC and SBR 77 also box. I tell you what, I'm just going to stop making predictions about pit strategies tonight. Clearly, since I've been away, pit strategies have changed. Because if Mark and I were in the car tonight, we wouldn't be doing this strategy. That's probably why we don't win races. But yeah, Czech Console Racing also coming in as well. So I think really, and obviously SBR Endurance, that are car number 1, are not the only car to have not boxed yet. But I think out of the leaders, they are the only car left to box. So just keeping my eye on Melvin to see what they do. There's got a little bit of traffic as well in the first sector. So Massa and is that Danny McCutcheon? Danny McCutcheon's in the car now. Look at that, wee Danny, all the way from cold, dark, stormy, rainy Scotland. Danny McCutcheon, my good friend. Best of luck, Danny. So, and look at that. Malvin does box. SBR Endurance. I am about as accurate tonight on my pit strategy predictions as, I don't know, as, let's think of some kind of analogy, you know, trying to think of some comparison. Probably Crofty when it comes to Formula 1 commentating. Ropey is the word I'll use to describe. So, Malvin is in the box for SBR Endurance. Are we going to see Ben Milden go into that car? But where is Thomas Belleman? That is the bigger question. So here comes the 46 BMW, the French Connection team. Mr. Will Friedman is not in the car yet, so Belleman remains in the car. So it was just tyres and fuel, and he takes the lead of this race. Where are BRC? I think BRC are also going to do the jump. Oh, it's coming out now, Ben Milden. Ben Milden's first few laps into this race is going to be side by side with BRC. They've changed driver, but they've got one lap. Warmer tyres. You see the BMW just struggling on cold tyres straight away, and BRC have got an opportunity here to really attack. SBR Endurance have just lost out here. They've lost out to the French Connection, but they're going to be losing out to BRC. So Bergerton, apologies if I'm pronouncing that wrongly, Bergerton is attacking Ben Mildon here. Ben Mildon, one of the drivers who won the title last season with his teammate Sean, who's not driving this series. Ben will be feeling the pressure of that Ferrari. So we've had our first round of this heavyweight boxing match of a race, and the French Connection team have just dealt the first blow with the first very strong jab in the face of SBR Endurance by leapfrogging them in the first round of this pit strategy game tonight. But Ben Mildon will just be feeling a little bit more relieved as his tyres are coming up to temp towards the latter half of this lap, but he'll be well aware he's about to get, I think Thomas Bellarmine's off. No, he's not. Do you know why I thought that? Because number 46 is a yellow flag at turn 1, and number 46 is the same car that's showing on my screen. We've got a parked BMW there. So I do apologise for getting you all very excited that the leading car is off the track, but they're not. We've just got a BMW parked at the end of the grid. That is Fernie, and I think they've just left. They've left the lobby. So we're now down to 16 cars. Let's go on board with Bergerton for BRC. Just bear with me while I use my clicky keyboard to find them. Here we go, on board with the 52 Ferrari. Now look at the gap though, look at the gap that Thomas Bellarmine has pulled on SBR Endurance. 7 seconds. 7-second gap, that round of pit stops. It must, I mean, I don't think that stop was too bad from SBR Endurance. It didn't look like they missed their pit box. Whether just the undercut was potentially that strong on fresh tyres, maybe. Oh, Ben goes a little bit wide. Tyres just kicking up a little bit of dust. And he's quite early on the brakes as well. Bergerton, it really is showing some Ferrari might here. But look at that. Look in your rear view mirrors. Nikola Buzov, there he is. He's going to have a look. Potentially down the inside. This is the battle for second, third and fourth, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, the side-by-side with Ben Mildon. He's made the move on Mildon. Let's see if we can go on board with the Helican. We can. Bergerton takes P2. Ben Mildon now under extreme pressure from Nikola Buzov. Unbelievable developments here heading in to the second hour of this race. SBR Endurance just struggling to light the tyres up on that BMW, and the Ferraris are taking full advantage. A slow pit stop, maybe boxing a lap too late with the undercut being powerful, has just brought SBR Endurance into a battle they don't want to be in, because that French Connection car of Thomas Bellarmine is pulling an 8-second gap. However, unfortunately for the French Connection team, they are not in with a chance of the title tonight, even though they have won a race. They won the opening round of this 4-race championship, so they do have that race winning pedigree. as things stand, this would not be enough for any title success for SBR Endurance, the car number 1. They really do need to finish a few places ahead of this attacking Ferrari of SBR 77. SBR 77 are the car and team leading this championship. Turn 1 Sim Racing in P5 or in P2 in the championship, and SBR Endurance, who are currently on your screen in the BMW trying to keep that Ferrari behind them, is in P3, 14 points behind. So there needs to be a 14-point swing between SBR Endurance and SBR 77 for any change in the standings tonight. But that is only P1 to P4, for example. So if SBR Endurance were to finish first, and SBR 77 finish fourth, then that would be enough, I believe, if my mathematics are correct. Bearing in mind I was awful at school when it comes to mathematics, but I believe that is correct. So it's not a massive positional change, if you see what I mean. And with 2 hours to go, a lot can happen. You know, we are in the world of virtual sim racing, so you can have equipment failure, you can have internet connection issues, and then you can also just bin the car in the wall. So a lot can happen, as that Ferrari is just looking so much quicker at this stage of the race. And the problem what Ben Milden's got, he's coming into this stint quite cold. He's not been in the car for a while, and Buzov is doing back-to-back stints. So Nikola Buzov is going to be completely up to speed with the track, with the car, and just in general in the groove a bit quicker. And Ben Milden is just going to be a little bit shook. He's probably come out of that pits probably questioning how French Connection have pulled such a big gap during that pit stop. So he's probably just feeling a little bit shook, and he's not had any time to come and just gently ease himself into this race. He's come straight out into the pits and straight away battling with the two Ferraris. It's a little bit like being woken up by your wife shouting at you. Oh, I'm so bad. But again, just a warm welcome to all of you who are watching live. I believe we've got a good healthy number of you watching live tonight, so please do drop a like on the video. Make sure you are whacking that subscribe button, following button, whatever you call it on Twitch, and drop a comment into the live stream. It'd be good to hear from you, give you a little bit of a shout out, and hopefully you are enjoying this battle, because we've just had an hour really. We've had a really good hour. Sometimes with these endurance races they can ebb and flow between excitement and boring stages, but to be perfectly honest, we've had just under an hour of epic racing, epic GT3 racing here between some of the quickest guys on PlayStation 5. And just look at this. I mean, these guys have been following each other like this for about 3 or 4 laps. Epic. So, just returning to the UI, Let's just bring you a little bit of a roundup of the standings, and I say that, and then we've got marshals waving a furious yellow flag. I believe that is for Massa, and that Lamborghini has got damage. They're in the box. So let's just bring you a bit of a roundup. I will keep my eyes on this battle here between Ben Milden and Buzov, and furiously shout in your ears if anything happens. But roundup: Bellarmine leads the race for French Connection. P1, P2 Burger Team BRC, P3 Ben Milden SBR Endurance on your screens right now. P4 Nicola Buzov and SBR 77. P5 Danny McCutcheon in Turn 1 Sim Racing, the 888 Ferrari. P6 Barter for Czech Console Racing 159 Aston Martin, the only Aston Martin on the grid tonight. P7 is Van der Waal for Val Racing Team 71. I believe that is father and son partnership, which is lovely to see. Please do correct me if I'm wrong there, but I'm 75% sure that is a father and son partnership, which is great if so. Or it could be brother. It could be brothers. Anyway, I digress. P8 Stilts for 1 second slower, the 415 BMW. P9 Duffin for Simplay Racing, car number 1, or shall I say car number 18 Ferrari. P10 Stein for JWB Racing in a 666 Porsche. P11 Vidbol for Southern State Racing, car number 100 McLaren. P12 Moller for Baltic Sea Racing 394 Porsche. P13 Kramer for Virtual Racing League, car number 87 AMG Mercedes. And we've got a bat market involved here on our screens. We're just still watching this epic battle between Ben Milden and Nicola Buzov. I'm trying to bring you the standings and keep my eyes on this. Ben Milden having to evade the BMW. I believe that is Leach for Simplay Racing, potentially down there. I think that is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Oleg GDT Green P14 367 Lamborghini. We've got a trio of Lamborghinis in P14, P15, P16. P15 is CDTB Esports La Rama 153 Lamborghini. P16 is Karuna for Turn 1 Sim Racing, car number 63. And back of the grid we've got Simplay Racing number 3, the 177 BMW of Leach. There he is. 31 laps down. Ouch. But fair play, absolute. If I was wearing a hat, I would be taking my hat off to you right now for carrying on, being 31 laps down. Fair play, chaps. So, you're probably wondering, why is he just staying on this coverage of these two cars? Why didn't you bring in some action of the other cars? Now, I do. I'm a very big believer of bringing you action throughout the grid. However, please do forgive me. We've just got an epic battle on our screens right now between two cars who are within a couple of tenths of each other. So I do not want to miss anything that is going on as we've got the number 242 off the track. I think that's been another victim of the sausage curb. And they're coming into box. That is Karuna for Turn 1 Sim Racing. They're in. That'll be a damaged Lamborghini. We've seen a few Lamborghinis having damage tonight. As we just see here, Buzov, he's going to make a move at the inside. He is. So Buzov, they avoid contact. Ben Milden just slams the door in his face. And to be fair to Buzov, he managed to put the brakes on enough to avoid contact. So, I mean, this is just epic. It really is epic racing between these two drivers. You know, let's not forget as well, guys and girls, and Dan Naisbit. I'm sorry, Dan. I'm only joking, mate. These are teammates effectively. These are two SBR cars. They will likely be in the same party chat together, or there will be at some point tonight. So the respect being shown by each of them here is epic. The pace is epic. The battling is epic. And yeah, let's have this for the next 1 hour and 57 minutes, please, gentlemen. So, round, what, 8 between these two? We're going again. Let's see if Buzov is going to get this move done this time round. He has another look up the inside, decides better of it, but Ben Milden goes a little bit deep. That could open the door. They're going to be side by side. Is Buzov going to get the better run? He is. Ben Milden has to back out of that one, and the BMW is just struggling. So there we go. That was the overtake I was waiting for live on stream. Nikola Buzov, SBR 77, the 77 Ferrari, moves up into P3 of this race, and just with 1 hour 55 to go, has a few fingers on that title championship trophy tonight. If they finish ahead of SBR Endurance, it is lights out and door closed and no night for SBR Endurance car number 1. But they will be battling with all their might in the next 1 hour and 55 minutes to keep their number 1 on that car. They won the title last season on the last season finale at Spa in honour of ESSA 28. So they might do it again here. Anything can happen, ladies and gentlemen. It's a little bit like Eurovision. If you're a fan of the Eurovision Song Contest, you know the public vote is one thing, but the judges' vote is another. Anything can happen. How am I commentating on sim racing and I'm talking about Eurovision Song Contest? I should be sacked by Formula Racing League. Why they asked me to do this tonight, I don't know. Well, they didn't even ask me, I just said I'm doing it. That's the problem. Poor James Williams is probably just wondering, what is this guy talking about? I do apologise. So, yo, Tom Preset, how are we doing? Welcome to the live stream. Epic battle going on. Epic battle going on right now between the top 5 guys. We've just seen Nikola Buzov overtake Ben Milden for P3. But look at this. BRC is closing that gap. Bergertin has got that gap from about 8 seconds down to 1.4. So BRC are on an absolute charge here. As we see the 666 Porsche of Stein of JWB Racing come into the pits from P13. They're now leaving, I believe. My pedals are broken, so I jump on reserve. They're horrible. I'm struggling on brakes. Yeah, but to be fair, mate, to be fair, Thomas, you're doing a cracking job. You started P17, P18, and you're up to P12, and your teammate Kramer in the car right now. You were on the live stream. I must admit, Thomas, I was talking about your Tau on live stream a little bit earlier when you were in the car. I was telling the viewers how you get a little bit sweaty while racing, and you do like to dab yourself with a Tau. So just a heads up, I was talking about that earlier on the live stream. All in good faith. But good job. Joking aside, good job tonight. And yeah, even with bad pedals, good job so far. Bergerting for BRC, now within a second of French Connection team. This battle for the top spot is heating up. Whether the French Connection team are just having to deal with a little bit of traffic, which has caused them to lose some of that time, potentially. As Kramer for Virtual Racing League is all over the back of Moller for Baltic Sea Racing. So we've got the AMG Mercedes versus the Porsche. And is Kramer going to be able to get A move done at the top of the hill, maybe. Heavy on the brakes. Not close enough yet. We'll just watch these two down the hill. This is the battle for P11. Looking quite close now. This is where he could get a little bit excited. Send it up the inside. He doesn't. So Moller goes defensive as Kramer has a little look, but not enough. He's just keeping it steady at the moment. And the fact I think he's just lost a little bit of time in that last sector as well. Has Bergerton made a mistake? Because Buzov is now all over the back of Bergerton. So we have the resumption of the Battle of the Ferraris here at Kyalami. Nikola Buzov, after having a little bit of a ropey first stint by losing a few places, is now on the recovery drive. They did start on pole, and they're now looking to battle with the sister Ferrari of BRC to retake second place. I'm just going to jump off for a quick refreshment break. You are watching Formula Racing League. We are 1 hour and 50 minutes to go of tonight's season finale here at Kyalami. I'll be back with you in a few moments. And I'm back. How are we doing? So, quite a lot of traffic for the leading cars to contend with here. Just got to make sure they navigate these back markers quickly and efficiently as possible. The worst thing they can do is just trip themselves up with a back market as we see Baltic Sea Racing of Moller coming into the pits, the German team making a pit stop there. That's their second stop, I believe, so that would be on time as well with their 45-minute stints, and Bitterman is back into the car, and so is Kramer. So are we going to see Thomas Wondacek back into the car as well, again on time for the 45-minute stint? Just ignore the white BMW in the pit lane. Now that's the car that I turned up in the pit lane with to get into the commentary box. Let's have a look at Nikola Buzov, because he's all over the back. He is like a hot sunburn rash all over the back of Bergerton, and they're side by side going down the start finish straight. They're going to be heading into turn one side by side. Buzov has got the inside. Is he going to be later on the brakes? They're pretty much even. He's on the inside. They leave enough room for each of it. Good, respectful racing, but Bergerton's going to have a good drive. He's going to have the inside to the next one, but now he's going to be back on the outside. So inside on the Buzov. Buzov on the inside of the turn, the left-hander. He goes a little bit deep though. Bergerton could come back at him. He's better traction. So Buzov just going a little bit wide, but again he's going to have the inside line to his next corner, but you can get the move done on the outside here if you have the better speed around the outside. But Bergerton just pulls back a little bit. He's going to tuck right in behind that red Ferrari, but Nikola Buzov gets the move done and moves up into P2. Ben Milden would have had an absolute cracking view of all of that in the number one BMW just behind. There he is. So good racing there. We really have been treated to some epic battles tonight, and we have still got half of the race to go. Comment on the live stream there, nice battle, it certainly was. Very good, respectful driving, left each other room. This is what you want to see. Let's just have a look at 1 second slower here. So Stiltz is closing a little bit on Van der Waal in the 71 McLaren, but that BMW is banged up. It is got a lot of scratches and a lot of damage on the bodywork there. So the gap of 2.1 seconds between Van der Waal and Stiltz. 1.5 now, and then we have numerous gaps throughout the field. Duffin in P9, Vitterbol in P10, Stein in P11, Oleg in P12, Bitterman P13, Larama P14, Vonderek is back in the car P15 with his reserve brake pedals, Sterling P16, great name, and Leach is still in P17, which is not a surprise as they're 33 laps down, but as I said earlier on, hats off to still sticking at it. So best of luck for the next 1 hour and 43 minutes of Simplay Racing car number 3. Let's back on board, but we can't forget what's happening at the top of the grid. I just can't help but be magnetised to these guys and the battle they're throwing up on a silver platter for us tonight. Bergerton, BRC, P3, Ben Milden, P4 for SBR Endurance, and Nikola Buzov in P2 for SBR 77. We've got a three-way heavyweight battle on our screens. Buzov has just got a bit of traffic to contend with. He's got a Ferrari in between them, and Bergerton's going to have to contend with that now. He's going to get out of the way of turn 1, last corner he's in. Car number 18, so that's Duffin. Duffin in P9. So the leaders are lapping P9 already. That's just the pace of the leaders. They're already lapping P9. So Duffin does a great thing of just pulling off the racing line. He's probably going to be a little bit early on the brakes here as well, I imagine. He is. But he brakes! Oh, he brakes on the racing line in the middle of Ben Milden. And Ben Milden just is probably not going to be very happy about that. And now he's got him on the outside as well. But Duffin does just keep out of the way. I imagine Ben Milden may have said a couple of expletives in the car with that move. We are live on air, so we will keep the expletives off air. But I imagine there may have been one or two comments from the number one BMW there going into the braking zone of the first corner. Stilts has closed that gap. We joined them a few laps ago at 2.1 seconds. It's now down to 0.8. So Stilts is on an absolute pile driver here, catching up with that one Van der Velde. Just wonder how much pace that BMW is suffering though. You know, 1 second slower. They are P5 in the championship, so they are not a slow team, despite what their name may say. And they are a little bit out of position in terms of where they probably should be in this race because of the damage they've sustained. And that gap is now down to 0.5, so Stilt certainly the quicker of the two cars at this stage of the race. Oh, and Stilt's got the move done. I took a swig of my drink and I think Van der Velde went a little bit wide, or he may have just thought he's a quicker car. I'm going to let him through and just stick with him. As we've got 242, yellow flags out, we've got a victim of the sausage curve again. I say it's 242, it shows it's 242 on the track map, but I don't have a 242 car on the left hand side, so I'll try and work out who that is. But nonetheless, Stilts is through up to P9. Barter is P6 for Czech Console Racing. They're Aston Martin having a very lonely race in P6, but a solid race for the lone Aston Martin on the grid tonight. Czech Console Racing, they're a very good team. They've been around racing with FRL for a while now. I've raced with them in the past. Some good drivers, some good lads. But let's rejoin the popcorn battle. All three cars here within 3 seconds. Hang on, what's happened here? Because we've got the French Connection team all of a sudden under a lot of pressure from Nicolas Buzov. I was glancing down to plug my phone into charge. I've just realised we've got the top four after over an hour of racing, all within what, 3 seconds of each other. This is an absolute cracking battle. And Nicolas Buzov is on a charge in his second stint of the race tonight, as is Bellarmine. They've both not changed drivers yet, and this is the beauty of endurance racing. The race pace of these teams can completely change as the second drivers get in the car. We have yet to see the second drivers of the French Connection and SBR 77 teams, whereas compared to, oh hang on, the side by side potential here at the top of the hill. Bellarmine's going to have the better line, he's going to have the defensive line. Oh no, he's gone deep, Buzov is through. Nicolas Buzov takes the lead of this race, of the season finale here at Kyalami, PlayStation 5, Formula Racing League. Buzov takes the lead, but Bellarmine is just about to say, hang on, you may have took the lead of that corner, but I'm going to take it back on this corner, but he hasn't. He took some behind. So Buzov is showing some tremendous pace in this second stint. He's now overtook Ben Milden, took Bergerton, and now overtook Bellarmine. So 3 positions gained in this second stint for Nicolas Buzov. The Croat is flying. Good evening, still in mod. Just joining in, looking good. Good evening. Nice to have you with us on the live stream. As we see the car number 18 of the Simplay Racing Team, car number 1, Duffin, in the pits. you have joined an absolute epic battle. We are season finale here on PlayStation 5. We've got 5 cars within the hunt for the title, albeit 2 of them are outsiders, but we have got SBR 77, SBR Endurance and Turn 1 Sim Racing all battling it out for the title tonight. But SBR 77, with this very impressive second stint from Buzov, has firmly put one hand on the title with this second stint. But as I was just saying a few moments ago, anything can happen as the second drivers get into the car. The second driver could be a few seconds off the pace compared to the first driver, could even be a few seconds quicker, we don't know. Especially when Ben Milling and Bergertin are in the car, and SBR Endurance and BRC have already swapped drivers in this race, whereas French Connection and SBR 77 are yet to do so. Leach is also in the pits. Car 177. So we're probably about 25 to 20 minutes away from the next round of pit stops for these top 4 cars. But who will be the first to blink? We saw evidence that the undercut was extremely strong in the first round of stops. So who will be the first to blink when it comes to pit stops in the next round? We shall wait to see. As we are just joining the battle for P10 and P11 with Stein and Oleg, JWB Racing and EGT Green, car numbers 666 Porsche and 367 Lamborghini. These are battling it out. 0.8 of the gap now between the Lambo and the Porsche. Lambo though just showing a little bit of bonnet damage. We're seeing quite a few Lambos be a victim of the classic sausage corner. And they've hit the barrier. Exit stage left for a few of the Lambos tonight, hence why you see a few of them with a banged up bonnet. They'll be needing some duct tape at the end of this race to fix that. Bellerman is the first to blink. I was just talking about who's going to be the first to blink of the top 4, and it is the French Connection team. So are we going to see the smoking Frenchman of Will Friedman enter the car? So let's just keep an eye on their pace. Now, is SBR Endurance, BRC Racing and SBR 77, are they going to respond? So Will Friedman's in. The smoking Frenchman, as we call him, Mr. Will Friedman, FRL's very own chief technical officer, the man in control of all the spreadsheets, all the data, the server wizard on PlayStation 5. He's in the car. He's already down a pack of Marlboro Golds before he got into the car. He's probably smoking while driving now. So Friedman, he's got a job to do in this second half of this race. He needs to get up to speed quickly, and he needs to hope the undercut is very strong. Now this is exactly what the French Connection team did last time out. They boxed early and they got the jump on SBR Endurance. In the pit stops, they gained 8 seconds with the undercut. It may have not been 8 seconds of pure undercut speed. It may have been a bit of a slow stop as well for SBR Endurance, but nonetheless, there was an 8-second swing in that last round of stops. So Will Friedman will be looking to repeat that. I think he'll take even just 3 seconds because the top four were that closely matched. Just a 2 or 3 second swing here in terms of lap time on these new tyres will do the job. Question: how do the drivers swap? So when the driver is in the car, they go onto their MFD and they select the second driver. So the way how the server is set up, when you register your team on SimGrid, Formula Racing League will configure the server so you have 2 drivers in your team. It's 2 drivers per team in tonight's event, as it's only a 3-hour race. It's teams of 2. However, on PlayStation 5 they are longer races. We have the 12 Hours of Monza coming up on November the 18th, where teams will have up to 6 drivers, I believe. It could be 4, it could be 6, I can't quite remember. It's either 4 or 6 drivers they can have a maximum of. But yes, they effectively swap by selecting each other's name before they box. It is a very cool format. It's a very, if you haven't done an endurance race before, it is an epic way of racing with some friends. The teamwork that goes into it to make sure you all are happy with the car setup, all trying to achieve a good result. It is a very good way of racing. I love endurance racing, and here we are. BRC is responding. So Bergerton is responding to that early stop of the French Connection team, as Jim, my race engineer, just comes into my right ear and just tells me we're halfway into this race. I can't believe we're only halfway into this race. I'm already halfway through my pack of beers as well. Whew. Danny McCutcheon is also boxing, so here we are. And cars are piling into the pits now, but where is Will Friedman? Where is he? Oh, I don't think he's going to do it. I think BRC are going to remain where they are. Let's just see. Are they still stationary in the stall? They're coming out now. This is going to be very close. Let's go on board with the helicam. Oh, stop-go penalty! Stop-go penalty for Di Stefano. Oh, that is an absolute stab wound. That is a knife to the heart of BRC Racing Team. They were well in this battle for the race win tonight. They're not in the battle for the title, but they were well in the battle for the race. And that stop-go 30 has potentially just put a nail in that coffin for their chances tonight. An hour and a half to go, and speeding in the pit lane for BRC Racing. And as well, they even came out ahead of the French Connection team. So the undercut not quite working for the French Connection team, but they will have seen the penalty being dished out by the stewards, by race control to BRC, and they will be extremely happy by seeing that SG30 next to their name. That now opens the door though to Mr. Friedman. It opens the door to Adam Anderson as well for Turn 1 Sim Racing, albeit they are quite a way back. Buzoff and Mildred are also into the box on the same lap. It's all happening here, ladies and gentlemen. So Buzoff and Mildred, I'm surprised they've both boxed the same lap. I would have thought they would have done the opposite. So the question is, where does Friedman, where does Di Stefano come out? Ben Mildred and SBR Endurance probably thinking, oh, they got left out to dry, hung out to dry a little bit in the last round. They were the last team to stop, and I think it cost them with the undercut. So maybe they're thinking, oh, we won't make the same mistake twice and we'll box the same time. But Alerts is now in the car, and SBR 77 is going to remain in the lead. Cruz is now back out as well. He's swapped, but I think they're going to lose out to Will Friedman. Let's go on board with the helicam to see where they are. Oh, I've lost the helicam. There we go. Yep. French Connection team have leapfrogged. The undercut has worked. So, SBR Endurance for the second time running, they have lost out with the undercut. They're just getting done on the undercut. They need to switch on to this quickly for the next round, because they're causing themselves work to do here by having to battle back through cars by coming out behind. I mean, they will know BRC's got a stop-go penalty, so they are effectively a net P3, but their main issue for them is their sister team car, SBR 77, the title championship leaders currently, are in P1. They are our provisional race winners at this moment of this race. And the gap is 3.1 seconds, more like 4.5 seconds for SBR Endurance. And they're the two cars you've got to watch out for, people, in this battle. Is SBR 77 and SBR Endurance. They're the two cars who could really win the title tonight. BRC and French Connection, albeit they are in the battle for the race win tonight, they are not in the battle for the championship. Axel Racing 81, yo, my very good friend Mark Conway. How you doing, Mark? Great to see you on the live stream. I'm back in the commentary box, mate. Mr. Robinson is back in the commentary box. I'm back on PlayStation 5, albeit for one night only, a little bit like Stevie one day. How you doing, mate? Hope you're well on this Friday night. You are missing, or you've just joined, genuinely a cracking race. Fill me in. Well, I bet you'll be saying that in 2 weeks' time, won't you, mate? Oh, you're making me blush. Right, what's happening? Well, to be honest with you, mate, to be honest with you, Mark, it's an epic race. Generally, my voice is hurting from talking that much, which I know it's not a surprise, as I do talk quite a lot anyway, but I've been unable to catch my breath in this first half of this race. It has been 4 cars, neck and neck, just probably split by a few seconds here and there at any given point. We have seen various changes in the lead of the race, and we have just witnessed BRC get a stop-go 30 in the second round of pit stops, and Will Friedman, the smoking Frenchman, is under pressure from Melvin Cruz for SBR Endurance, and SBR Endurance are the team who need to put the pressure on, because they're the team hunting for the title. Their sister team SBR 77 currently winning the race currently. So Cruz is back in the car. Ben Milden will be getting a nice glass cold of milk probably just to refresh himself from that last stint, and handing the keys over to Cruz, who needs to get the business done, and he's certainly doing that by putting the fellow BMW of Will Friedman under pressure. So Friedman trying to break the toe, going to the other side of the track. This ain't going to end well, I don't think, for the Frenchman. It's Holland, Netherlands versus France here. Melvin Cruz, oh, he doesn't go down the inside. He behaves himself. He takes a sensible early braking. The two BMWs deciding not to go at each other's throats just yet. So we see Di Stefano for BRC, an absolute sucker punch of a penalty for them. That has put them out of contention for the race win tonight, and they were driving epically. Is that a word? Epically? Probably not a word. Mark Conway, strange to see Will in a BMW. It is, isn't it? It is very strange to see Will in the BMW. And he's probably not liking the fact that he's got another BMW in his rear view mirror. I keep banging on about the battle between the two SBR teams, but I will say one other thing as well, is Kroes and Ben Milden, they cannot get themselves caught up and tangled up with a battle between Will Friedman too much, because they've really got to keep an eye on Kobelertz, I believe his name is, pronouncing that correctly, car number 77. They can't allow him to get up the road too much. The gap is 1.8 currently, so they do need to keep an eye on that. So if he's going to battle with Will Friedman, Kroes needs to get this move done fairly quickly. Let's go on board with the helicam to see if he's close enough this time round to make a move. I don't think he is. So Will Friedman is certainly the driver earlier on the brakes going into that corner, and that is where Kroes is just catching up to him. As we have a 666 car of Stein. Yellow flags out, another victim of the sausage curve, I believe. But thank you all for joining the live stream. It's epic to see the live numbers we've got tonight for PlayStation 5 live stream on a Friday night. Hope you all had a good week at work and school, or college or university, whatever you're doing these days. I'm looking forward to the weekend, and this is certainly one way to kick the weekend off by watching some brilliant, epic ACC racing on Formula Racing League TV. And this is very close now. He's going to make the move down the inside. I think he's going to get the move done. Let's go with a helicam. So Will Freeman, who turns in, and there's a little bit of contact. So Freeman turns in. He goes a little bit wide. I don't see anything wrong with that personally. I mean, the stewards may say something. Personally, that was a fair move. There was room there for Kroos to get the move done. And Freeman, I think, just turned in a little bit too early. So that is SBR Endurance now up to P2. And they're getting their missiles firmly locked onto SBR 77. I'll be back in a few moments as I leave you with the lasting thought of Kroos overtaking Will Freeman. You are watching Formula Racing League TV season finale here on PlayStation 5. I'll be back with you in a short moment. And we're back, and we're just witnessing an absolute brilliant battle here between Van Lieshout and Bitterman. And Bates, do apologise. And Bitterman's got the move done, but Bates is having something to say about it. He's got the inside move done. Let's take all this side by side, a little bit of contact, the Ferrari. Oh, there's Bitterman involved as well. Look at this three-way battle here between P9, P10, P11. Let's go on board the helicam. So Bates, who was overtaken by Van Lieshout, is now going to have to go defensive on the inside line. But Van Lieshout's going to try and go down the outside. Very early braking from Bates, and Van Lieshout will go, "Thank you very much, sir. I will go around the outside. You may defend the inside, but I will go around the outside." And that is the move done for the Ferrari. Beg your pardon, for the McLaren. As Bates says, "Hang on, I'm going to come back at you. Cameraman, come on, cameraman, where are you?" There we are. The cameraman catches up with the action side by side, but yet again, Van Lieshout, epic traction, and wow, brilliant battles of Porsche in the background. It exits stage left. Bitterman 394 Porsche hits the barrier, another victim of the fast right-hander of the sausage curb. And yes, apologies, I missed that comment. The question around the purple number is fastest lap. Thank you to the viewer to answer that question. Adam Anderson currently setting the fastest lap of the session, as we see Bates and Van Lieshout continue with their epic battle. So we are 1 hour and 16 minutes away from the checkered flag, and just to give you a bit of a summary as to where we are, just in case you are just joining us live on the stream. Alerts for SBR 77 leads the way with Malvern Crows in P2. Only 0.3 away, we have two SBR teams battling for the title. It comes down to these two teams, these two cars, these four drivers, and they've got 1 hour and 15 minutes to settle their differences for the title tonight. 0.3 as they cross the line. Crows is on an absolute stonker of a stint. He's dispatched Will Friedman, and he's looking to dispatch Kobe Lutz. He's down the inside. Is the BMW going to get the move done? He does. Can the Ferrari come back at him on the inside now? They do a bit of switcheroo bit. No, the BMW has it firmly cemented. That is an epic racing from Malvern Crows. Wow. Car number one. The Ferrari has now got a nice view of the number one number logo on the back of that BMW, and Crows is probably saying, we're car number one for a reason, mate. We are the championship holders. If you want to win this title tonight, you're going to need to beat us on track now. That's the message just laid down by SBR Endurance to the sister team of SBR 77. So, as I was saying, just giving you a round of understandings, and them two decided to rudely interrupt me with their amazing battle on track. Will Friedman occupies the third spot, the French Connection team in the 208 BMW. P3, Adam Anderson in a very solid P4 for our good friends over at Turn 1 Sim Racing. Having quite a quiet race, it must be said, but a solid race. BRC Racing occupies P5. They had a stop-go penalty of 30 seconds for speeding in the pit lane after the second round of pit stops. They've unfortunately dropped 2 positions as a result of that. They were in the hunt of the race win. They're now down to P5, and their target will be Adam Anderson for Turn 1 Sim Racing. Poppersil for Czech Console Racing in the lone Aston Martin. Another car that is having a very lonely race in P6, but a solid P6, it must be said. Mil Hooker in the fourth BMW car on the grid. Fourth BMW car on the grid. P7 for the 415 BMW. Van der Velde in P8 for car number 71, McLaren. Bates in 9th, Van Lieshout in P10th, Stein P11th, Sorge in P12, Von der Dreck for Virtual Racing League in P13, Larama P14, Bitterman P15, Sterling P16, and Leach 33 laps down in P17. The battle up ahead, though, has not lessened any further. It is still very much burning extremely hard as the two SBR teams and Will Friedman, the smoking Frenchman, is just trying to hang on. Just trying to witness the battle between the two SBR teams here. He's hanging on quite well. He's only 1.3 seconds behind SBR 77. So we are in a three-way battle here, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Conway, I believe SPR 77 just needs to finish 4th from what Ben is saying. Yes, you are correct. There is a 14 points difference between SBR 77 and SBR Endurance. So, yeah, I mean, to be honest, there is a potential that French Connection gets second place. So, Milden and Crows are probably thinking, well, they could finish 3rd if Friedman and Bellarmine puts pressure on them. I think the worst thing for them was that stop-go penalty for BRC, because BRC was looking quicker than probably all of them in that second stint. So when they saw that 30-second penalty for BRC, their hearts probably sank a little bit, because that was their chance of SBR 77 probably finishing fifth, perhaps. So yeah, that's not really. They did not need BRC to have that penalty. But as we know, Mark, as I was saying on the stream earlier, in endurance racing, anything can happen. You know, they could have the wrong brakes on, for example. They could have brake pads 1 on rather than brake pads 2, and they could have their internet fail, or they could have their wheel fail. Anything could happen in endurance racing, especially on PlayStation 5 or especially on ACC. You know, we do know the game has numerous bugs, so I won't repeat that comment from Mark Conway on the live stream. You know, as Davina McCall used to say, well, we are live on air, please do not swear. Just to give you some context, ladies and gentlemen, a little bit of an inside joke there between myself and Mark. Myself and Mark are teammates. We have done numerous endurance races together now, and we had an infamous race at Donington Park early this year, where we were probably about this time now, actually, into the race, where I got into the car and I was complaining to Mark that the car just wouldn't slow down. I kept going on the radio, Mark, the car feels weird. The car is just not stopping in the corners. And then I realised, or Mark then realised, that he didn't change the brake pads from qualifying. So we were running brake pads 1, and my brake pads failed. And to this day, I haven't forgotten about it. I still am quite bitter. The moral of the story, the context to it all, as I said, anything can happen here with 1 hour and 9 minutes to go. So it's important for SBR Endurance, for Ben Milden and Crows, not to lose hope. And we have yellow flags for car 367 on the track map. Who is that? That is Sorgay for EGT Greens. Another Lamborghini. I don't know what it is about the Lamborghinis tonight, but they seem to be attracting damage. They seem to be attracting incidents, but they've got to be careful because there's a couple of cars coming flying on through. And I think that's Vondercheck in the background as well for Virtual Racing League coming on through in the background in the Mercedes. So, oh, that is Vondercheck. We're just seeing Virtual Racing League. Wow. Entering that top of the hill section, facing the complete opposite way. Oh, he's almost lost it again. His rear tyres must be absolutely screaming with pain. Not sure what happened there. I don't think there was contact with another car. I believe he just got a little bit too hot into the braking zone, completely misjudged the braking, and wow, we just saw an epic image of an AMG Mercedes flying backwards in the background of that camera shot. As we have another car that is slow up ahead. That's another Lamborghini. Is that Sorgay? It is. So we've got the Sorgay Lamborghini feeling quite sore, and they're boxing to fix that damage. As we just see, excuse me, the BMW of Will Friedman entering the sand trap a little bit there by clipping that curb. We're lucky not to get any more damage than that. So, gap out in front, 2.6 seconds. Brilliant stint thus far for Malvin Croes. We are probably about another 20-25 minutes away from the next round of pit stops. And our SPR Endurance, who have been caught out with the undercut twice in this race thus far, are they going to finally catch on and make the early stop and be the first to blink? This is the Ferrari on your screens, who has got one hand on that championship trophy. There is a lot at stake. The winners of this series, of the driver swap on PlayStation 5, they received an epic trophy last season, and I don't mean a virtual trophy. They physically received an absolute handmade 3D printed trophy created by our very own Jackie Van Eck. So handmade and delivered to car number 1 of SPR Endurance. They received the trophy for last season's title. So that will be firmly in their sim racing room on their shelf, reminding them that they have got the cojones to do it. But they need a little bit of lady luck, I think. I think they're approaching the stage now, the final hour of this race, where they need a little bit of lady luck to help them out if they want to win the title from SPR 77. Because SPR 77, I can't see them finishing 5th or worse at this stage of the race. I think Adam Anderson and Turn 1 Sim Racing are too far behind, and BRC are even further behind than that. I don't actually know the gap between Anderson and Friedman. I wait until that timing comes up to try and get you a bit of an accurate gap between SPR 77 and Turn 1. There we go, so it's 31.8 seconds plus 2.4. So a good 34 seconds separates SPR 77 and Turn 1 Sim Racing. And then even then, they can still win the title by finishing 4th. So BRC is 7.7 seconds back from that. So they are a good 40 odd seconds clear of where they need to be to win the title, SPR 77. And out of all the things I've mentioned tonight, I've mentioned internet connections, I've mentioning brake failure, sim racing failure, all that. The one thing I haven't mentioned is track limits. Now, Kyalami is not really a track you see that many of, to be perfectly honest. There is a certain corner you can get them on. It's in the middle sector, and I will call it out as alerts on your screens right now. We'll get to it. But it could be a factor, is what I'm saying, but I would be surprised if we see a drive-through for track limits at Kyalami. So it's this corner here coming up. As you go with the right-hander down the hill, you can run a little bit wide on that exit curb there. As you see the BMW in the background, you can get a track warning on that particular curb. But as you saw on that lap just then, the Ferrari was absolutely nowhere near the limit. So yeah, I think the track limit drive-through penalty is clutching at straws, if I'm honest. It's not like we're racing at Cota or Paul Ricard, where track warnings are dished out like sweets. So 4.6 now is the gap between the two SBR cars. Let's have a look at the rest of the grid, try and get some camera time for some other cars. Thomas Vonderchek in his backup pedals, as his main pedals failed before the race. Currently P12, started P18 on the grid, and currently 13 seconds off Joe Bates in P11. I believe it is Joe, first name Bates, so apologies if I'm just completely made up that name of Joe. Maybe it's Jim. We'll just call you Bates. So yeah, 13 seconds off Bates in P11. And Larama, who is in P13, is a long way off as well. So Vonderchek just in a little bit of no man's land for Virtual Racing League in P12. Van Lieshout for Southern State Racing. We've seen him get a little bit racy at points of this evening. He is currently occupying P9. He's got a banged up BMW of Leach Simplay Racing car number 3 in front of him. He's out of position, 34 laps down. As we see the leader of Malvern Crows just coming up to a little bit of lap traffic, as we see the BMW struggle with the entry / exit of turn 1. Please do keep your comments coming flying in. It really does help me out in the commentary box. As you can imagine, it's quite a challenge to talk on your own for 3 hours and commentate on a race. It is a lot easier when you have a co-commentator, so don't feel sorry for me, obviously, because I wanted to do this, but it certainly is a challenge to commentate on your own for 3 hours. So please do keep your comments flying in. I would love to hear from you. As we see JWB Racing car 666 of Stein coming into the pits from P11. Gap now in front, 5.2. So if you are new to Formula Racing League, then there is plenty of action for you to get involved in. We have effectively 3 main games running. We have the Formula 1 racing with our F1 side of Formula Racing League. We then obviously have ACC on both PlayStation 5 and PC. And then we have, as I mentioned earlier, and maybe you didn't catch it if you just joined the stream, but we also have R Factor 2 that is starting up in November on Tuesdays. It is dirt cheap, and we're doing the British BTC content. Great fun, different style of racing compared to F1 and GT racing. So please do please go on SimGrid. Sign-ups are open now to the opening season of Formula Racing League on R Factor 2. That will be held on Tuesday nights starting in November. Main nights for Formula Racing League on PlayStation 5 on ACC is Tuesday. We have Taco Tuesdays. We have 3 tiers with live commentary streamed live on Twitch, and we also have a late night Thursday on PlayStation 5. And on PC, the main event, star of the show, is Pure Sim Gear, sponsored by Pure Sim Gear, is the Thursday. We have 4 tiers of Pro, Silver, Pro-Am and Am drivers. Easily 80 drivers a week on PC and probably another 60 on PS5, so well over 100 drivers a week. That's not including R Factor and F1. So it is certainly one of the best places to be when it comes to ACC content and racing not only on PC but certainly on PS5. I am obviously biased, but on PlayStation 5 I don't think you get better competitive racing on PS5 unless it's with us at Formula Racing League FRL. And this is some of the quickest guys on PS5. You're witnessing now the top guys in this grid. They are the pro drivers, and they battle it out every Tuesday, Taco Tuesday. You can find us on Discord. The Twitch bot will be posting the links to our Discord on the chat throughout the evening, so you can join us there. Sign up, get your license stint done. You have to do a license stint to join FRL. That therefore enables us to place you in a driver category matched with other drivers. So basically, we don't just put you in with the aliens and the quick guys. We put you in with similar level drivers, so you can find that competitive racing that you're looking for. And we have live stewards as well. We have a fantastic team of live stewards. Sorry, not live, but we have a fantastic team of stewards who do a great job of dealing with tickets and driving etiquette. So any incidents throughout races, they can be reported to the stewarding team, and post-race penalties will be dealt with. Some races on PC are dealt with by live stewarding, but on PlayStation 5 it is post-race stewarding. And yeah, hats off to the guys who do the stewarding. I know there's been a recent recruitment drive. There's a few new stewards who have joined the stewarding room. They're doing a cracking job. And they are the unsung heroes of FRL. And then, yeah, my final plug is the Donington meet. I mentioned it earlier, but just for those of you who have joined the stream, Formula Racing League will be at Donington Racetrack in 2 weeks' time. It's this time in 2 weeks' time. We'll be heading to Donington for our annual meetup. There'll be a number of guys from FRL, including myself there, drinking hopefully cold beer and eating overpriced burgers and hot dogs and waffling about racing and all sorts while we're there. So if you are in the UK, close to Donington, and fancy a weekend of action, of racing action, then make your way over to Donington in the East Midlands. There is all sorts of racing going on throughout the Saturday and Sunday. Obviously, it's a British GT3 cars as well. The Genetas will be there as well, I believe. So yeah, it's going to be a great weekend. And yeah, FRL will be there in good numbers, in good spirits, and it'll be good to see some friendly names and put some faces to some friendly names, shall we say. So, back to the action. De Stefano for BRC is just closing that gap a little bit to Turn 1 Sim Racing. Now down to 2.5 seconds. And the gap out in front is now extended to 7.4. So SBR Endurance are doing everything in their power to get this title tonight. But SBR 77 are exactly where they need to be in the top 4 to win this title. Will Friedman is hanging on in P3 with 2 seconds behind. It's probably a little bit of a disrespectful comment to say he's hanging on. He's doing a cracking job. He's 1.4 off alerts now in P2, so he's not hanging on. But let's not forget about Will Friedman and the French Connection team. They may well be out of the title challenge, but they're not out of the challenge to win this race. And then Adam Anderson in P4, fastest lap holders. Which is, I'm going to say it. I'm surprised. Anderson's a quick guy and McCutcheon's a quick guy, but hats off to them. They've still remained the fastest lap of the race so far. So yeah, fair play to them. 888 Ferrari running well in P4. They'll still be hoping for a little bit of action up ahead to get a podium in tonight's race. So we're about probably entering the final pit window of this race. Now this is where the movers and shakers can happen. We could have a final twist in this marvellous cocktail of racing tonight to come. So round of pit stops, third round of pit stops, about to enter our screens any given minute now. We're approaching that pit window. We see Czech Console Racing is the first car to dive into those pits. They look like they've got a bit of damage actually, that Aston Martin, so they may have been boxed a little bit early to fix damage. But I'm interested in to see the French Connection team because they've been boxing earlier out of all the teams, or out of the top team shall I say, in this race so far. So will they repeat this? And they are closing the gap to SBR 77, 1.3 seconds now, so they are well firmly in that undercut pit window opportunity. 10 seconds now out in front, so SBR I think have covered themselves from a potential undercut move from SBR 77. So SBR Endurance should be, regardless of what happens in the pit stops, coming out in front here. We'll have to take a really bad pit stop from them to lose the lead of this race. But SBR 77 and the French Connection team, those are the two cars in P2 and P3 to watch for when it comes to this next round of pit stops. This is where we could have some position changes. And BRC in turn 1. Gap between BRC and turn 1 sim racing is now 1.1 as well. As we see, French Connection team, they've pulled the trigger, they're in. So the undercut is on. Game on for Will Friedman and the French Connection team. Can they do the move on SBR 77? SBR Endurance will certainly be hoping they can. But will they respond straight away? Let's have a look at this stop. So engines off. So I counted there a 32-second stop, but I could have started a little bit late. So that, give or take a second or two, that was pretty much about spot on. So let's just see what SBR 77 do in response. Do they box straight away? No, they can play it safe. They only need to finish in the top 4. Do they respond and box, or do they stay out? The gap was closing. I think they're going to box. They do. They respond by coming in a lap later. So the undercut for Will Friedman, the French Connection, is going to have to be mighty. And he's got a McLaren up ahead. His McLaren has got to get out of the way, really, if he wants to put in a real solid lap here for a chance to take P2. To be fair, he's not that far, he's not that close, so he's probably not causing him that much trouble, to be honest. Could do now, though. So SBR 77 are still stationary. They're not moving just yet. This is going to be close. I think they've got it. I think they've got this. I think Will Friedman has got this. They're moving now, I think. No, they're not. They're still stationary. They're only just dropped now. Will Friedman. This has been an awful. This is. Wow, that is a big difference. So I am right. I mean, the undercut. I can't decide if the undercut is very powerful or it was a bad stop for SBR 77. I counted 32-second stop for French Connection. I should have really counted the SBR 77 stop, really. But yes, so Will Friedman has done the undercut on SBR 77, and that is a couple of seconds difference, I would say. So it could be a bit of a mixture between a little bit of a slow stop and a strong undercut. SBR Endurance have got to watch themselves out now. You know, if Ben Milden is on it, he would see that has happened. That move has taken place in the pit stops. They have got quite a comfy cushion though, but they are in traffic. They've got to be careful here, Ben Milden and Melvin Crows, to not stay out too long and get themselves caught like they have early on in the race when it comes to the pit stops. So are they going to respond this race? So the gap between SBR 77 and the French Connection is 4 seconds. So if, you know, a 3 second swing there really. It was 1.5, 1.2 seconds before the round of the pit stop. It's now 4.2. So quite a considerable swing there in time. But, you know, they are still where they need to be. SBR 77 are in P4. And this is exactly what they need to win this title tonight. BRC are yet to stop, and so are Turn 1 Sim Racing. So where are SBR Endurance? Here they are. In fact, they're about to lap Turn 1 Sim Racing, actually, with Danny McCutcheon in the car. And they do respond, they're in. So car number 1, the championship holders are in. Let's just see how long this stop is. Let's just see where French Connection are. So they're coming around the first sector now. Let's just have a look at and count this stop. So I actually counted 37 there. So maybe my counting is really bad, but that seemed a slower stop compared to Will Friedman. I mean, they are leaving the box now. I think they are going to remain in front, but that did seem a little bit of a slower stop. I'll be interested to know actually from Ben Milden and co what that actual stop was, timing-wise. But I counted 37 seconds there, which can't be right because the gap still is quite considerable. But yeah, it did seem a slow stop. But nonetheless, they are still in a net P1, and the BRC are showing in first place, which they are on track, but they are yet to stop. So De Stefano will be coming in shortly to driver swap, and they will fall back down. So 41 minutes remaining, ladies and gentlemen, of this season finale at Kyalami. And it is still up for grabs. I would say SBR 77 certainly have a firm grip on the trophy tonight. But yeah, let's wait and see what happens. This is exactly what we're here for. And to be fair, regardless of what happens with the title tonight, it's been an epic race between a lot of the drivers on the grid tonight. Brilliant race. As we see BRC also enter the pits. So that is the top cars all making their stops. So the gap, yeah, the gap has come down. Will Friedman has certainly closed. I believe the gap was around 8 to 10 seconds before the round of pit stops. It is a lot less than that. So maybe I was right. Maybe my counting was fairly up to scratch and it was a slow stop. I think Mark Conway's just jumped on the live stream to say Ben had damage, so that would explain it. So yeah, that would explain it. I'm surprised they fixed the damage though, Mark. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, mate, but they were pulling away from SBR 77 in that last stint. You know, they extended that gap to, 8 to 10 seconds, so damage couldn't have been hurting their lap time too much. I am surprised they've decided to take the damage fix penalty. Maybe they just think they've got nothing to lose. You know, SBR 77 are in control of their race. Maybe they think, well, we've got nothing to lose. We may as well just fix it. We're still going to come out in front, regardless. It's still 6 seconds gap, so yeah, that's probably what the thinking was. If we don't fix it, or we do fix it, we're still going to be first. Let's just fix it. That's probably what their thinking was, which is fair play. But Ben Milden back in the car. There's Danny McCutcheon on your screens right now as well. Currently occupying P4. Look at this. Axel Racing, Mark Conway coming in with the clutch intel. Ben Milden is on 3 track warnings. That is car number 1. So, wow. 3 track warnings. That is living life on the edge for the remaining 38 minutes here. I'm going to stop making predictions. I was saying about 15 minutes ago I will be gobsmacked if we see a drive-through penalty for track limits. And here we are, we've got a car leading the race on 3 track warnings. I don't know where they're getting the track warnings from. Maybe I'm just that slow. I don't push the limits enough on Kyalami. But I thought Kyalami was one of my stronger tracks. And I don't get track warnings around here. I only get track warnings on one corner, which is the one coming up just now. So unless they're making repeated errors on this corner just there, I don't know where else they're getting them. I mean, if you know in the comments or any other corners where it is a little bit easy to get track warnings on this track, then let me know. But yeah, I'm surprised at that. Mark, if please feel free to do some FBI, CIA, MI6 digging and try and find out if you can see how much SBR 77 are on track warning wise, because that will be tasty if they get a track warning. To be fair, you are slow. I mean, I'm not going to bite, but I am going to bite. I mean, I'm a pro driver on PC, mate, and I'm a 3 times title championship winner on PlayStation 5. So, how about those apples? So the fixed damage for Ben Milden seems to be working because they're now 5 seconds ahead of Will Friedman in P2. Gap between French Connection and SBR 77 is now 3.9 seconds in P3 for the 77 Ferrari. Sponsored by Ray-Ban. We have Danny McCutcheon, P4. Bergertin, beg your pardon, BRC Racing Team, P5, 2.6 behind Danny McCutcheon. Stilts, P6, Van der Waal, P7, Bates, P8, Baumgarten, P9, Barter, P10, Kramer, P11, Larama, P12, exiting the pits, Moller, P13, Oleg, P14, Vitebol, P15, Karuna, 16th, and Leach, 17th in the pits, probably having a cup of tea, 36 laps down. You are watching PlayStation 5 ACC Formula Racing League TV. I'll be back with you in a few moments. And we're back on air. So, 34 minutes remaining of this race, ladies and gentlemen. It has been an epic race so far, and hopefully you have enjoyed the live stream and are all settled in, refreshed and ready to go for the next final 34 minutes of this race. An epic season finale here on a Friday night in Kyalami. Track temp of 25 degrees, beg your pardon. Sunny skies in South Africa. Perfect driving conditions for these drivers and teams. So SBR 77 just starting to close that gap to the French Connection team. I'm ignoring that comment. Axel Racing. I'm trying my best, mate. You try commentating for 3 hours on your own. Even me will struggle to think of words and topics to discuss for that length of time. Luckily, my Thatcher's Blood Orange cider is keeping me well entertained throughout this, but so is the racing. But no, I have actually really thoroughly enjoyed this. As I said at the start of the stream, it's great to be back on PS5 to see some familiar names. As I said, raced with a lot of these guys over the last 12 to 18 months, and it's really good to see them in action live. I've not been on PS5 for a few months now, so it's yeah, it's great. I'm just really thankful that we've had an excellent race to commentate on for 3 hours, really. As my Alexa has just gone off. How dare you, Alexa? Yes, I have mentioned Monza, 12 hours, 18th of November. However, I haven't mentioned the other race that's going on PC. For those PC drivers who are listening, if you are listening, 18th of November is the Suzuka 24 hours. So please do get together a team and get yourself entered into that. It's going to be a cracking race on PC. 24 hours of Suzuka, ouch. I'm already stocking up on the Red Bull to try and get through that one. But yes, unfortunately, we do have two endurance races coinciding on the same day between PlayStation 5 and PC. So we have the 12 hours of Monza on PS5 and the 24 hours of Suzuka on PC on the same day. But I believe there is commentary lined up for the 12 hours of Monza. Mark will comment on the chat in a moment if I'm wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure we do have commentary lined up for the full 12 hours. And you're going to be seeing some of these drivers in that race. And it's probably, let's be honest here, people, let's be honest. It's worth tuning in just for turn 1, lap 1. It's Monza, turn 1. SHIT will go down. You can say to people, look, you've got 12 hours, you've got 11 hours and 59 minutes of driving to go. Be careful into lap 1, but it's Monza. You're always going to get turn 1 carnage, so it's worth tuning in just for that alone. Let's have a look at Burger Tin. Just closing a little bit on Turn 1 Sim Racing. We're at that start of it. We're at that phase of the stint where it goes into a little bit of a lull as the drivers just kind of settle into the stints for the remaining half hour. Try and just eke the tyres out a little bit. Dim Adjuster on the live chat. That's a name I've not seen in a while. How are you doing, my friend? Mini race to the second corner in 12 hours of Monza. That's true, isn't it? I think if you cross the line at the end of lap 1 of Monza without a single second of damage, I think that's a race win in itself. So yeah, I look forward. I mean, I think I'll be driving in the Suzuka 24 hours. I believe I'm doing the opening stint in that, and it may coincide with the start of the race. It may coincide with the start of the race at Monza, but if not, I will definitely be tuning in to watch it. And yes, just to plug my own stream and Mark's stream, please do check out the Driver Streams channel on Discord, as you'll see numerous driver streams in there, and you'll see myself and Mark with our little webcams. You'll see us sat there in the rigs, driving away in Suzuka. Yeah, please feel free to check in on us throughout the weekend of November the 18th and 19th to see how we're doing at Suzuka. So 1.5 seconds now between Burger Tin and Danny McCutcheon. 3.9 seconds out in front between Ben Mildred and the Spoken Frenchman. You're a tease, Mark. You're a tease. Good to hear, Dim Adjuster, mate. Good to hear. As we see, Burger Tin and the Porsche of the 666 Baumgarten of JWB Racing. It wasn't a move for position, but it was a... I think Burger Tin would have been a little bit sketchy there. He would probably be thinking, where's this Porsche going? As we see Bate come into the pits, car number 18 for Simplay Racing, car number 1 Ferrari is in the box. Rob Barker, good evening FRL. Good evening, Mr. Rob Barker. How are you doing, sir? Thank you for joining the live stream. Epic battle here at Kyalami for the season finale of the PlayStation 5 driver swap. We've got a 5-way team battle for the title, and that has kind of, throughout the last 2.5 hours, brought itself down to 2 teams, which is SBR Endurance and SBR 77. Adam Anderson in the live chat. Great comms as usual, Luke. Good to have you back. Cheers, mate. Really appreciate that. And yeah, cracking race from you and Danny tonight. A bit of a lonely race for you in P4, but solid race nonetheless. So yeah, good to hear from you, mate. And yeah, thanks for the kind comments. So as I was just saying, yeah, in a little bit of a lull at the moment at this stage of the stint. We've got the drivers just trying to eke out their tyres, so they've got enough tyre life at the end of this stint with the 25 minutes remaining. And just to remind you, for those of you who have just joined the live stream, SBR 77, the car on your screens right about now as the cameraman just catches up, they must finish P4, minimum of P4 to win the title. SBR Endurance is currently winning the race on your screens now. They will win the title if SBR 77 finishes anything lower than P5. So yeah, it is. I would definitely say, if I was a betting man, SBR 77 have got a hand on the title right about now, but anything can happen in 24 minutes when it comes to virtual sim racing, as I've been banging on about all evening. But alerts have been driving superbly all race, and the fact that we've had numerous lead changes throughout the last 2.5 hours, it's just been brilliant. It really has been a great race. It's not very often you get a 3-hour endurance race with so much action. I thought I was going to be in for a very slow evening of commentating on my own with 17, 18 cars, but it hasn't. It's just been non-stop action. It has been a struggle to keep up at times with what's been happening at the top end of the grid and throughout the pack as well. There's been some cracking racing throughout some of the guys below. And talking of the guys below, let's have a look on board with the 87 AMG Mercedes of Kramer for Virtual Racing League. He's just closed that gap to Massa for CDTB Esports for the battle for P11. Gap down now to 1 second. So that is just a battle to keep our eyes on in the closing stages of this race. That AMG Mercedes is carrying a little bit of front end damage though, as you can see that bonnet flapping around in the wind. I've got a yellow flags out as well. We've got marshals vigorously waving yellow flags in sector 2 for car 367, and that is another Lambo. I tell you what is it with Lamborghinis tonight? We've just seen nothing but Lambos in the wall. The Lambos really are struggling around here, and he's got to rejoin that track carefully as there's another car coming around. Oh, blimey, who's that? That's the Aston Martin of Barter, Czech Console Racing. Probably closing his eyes as he sees that Lamborghini come across the track there. So yes, the Lamborghinis have certainly struggled tonight. On board with Bergertin for BRC Racing Team. It's such a shame what's happened to them tonight. They were really in with a shout of winning this race, but that stop-go penalty about an hour ago really has put a nail in their coffin for the chances of winning the race tonight. But this man from this team, this car on your screens right now, SBR Endurance, car number 1, reigning champions of the Driver Swap Series. They've been flawless tonight. Well, I correct myself. I would argue they haven't been flawless because they've been caught with the undercut a couple of times. But they have certainly drove superbly. However, as my good friend Mark Conway reliably informs me on the live stream, they are on 3 track warnings, so they are very close to receiving a penalty. And as I say that, car number 177 BMW, 130 seconds penalty. Now, in all my time of racing ACC, I don't recall seeing a 130 second penalty. So what have they done to get that? Is that driving the wrong way on the track? If you know in the comments, then if you know in the chat, should I say, then drop a comment in and I can please reliably inform me. But I have no idea what they've done there to get 130 seconds. Does that potentially exceed? Oh, I know what that is. I'm being silly. Of course I know what it is. They've exceeded their driver stint limit. That's probably what it is. I'm talking silly rubbish on live air. They've probably exceeded their driver stint limit, and that probably sums up that penalty there. That would make sense. Well, they've got 130 seconds. So, yellow flags out in the final sector. Back on board with Bergertin and BRC. Gap down to 1.8. Gap in front 3.3. SBR 77 have dropped 17 seconds off French Connection. I think let's just go on board with them as we're talking about them. I think their attitude to this third stint really has been to take the foot off the gas. They're in complete control. You know, if they finish third, they win the title. If they finish fourth, they win the title. And given the gap to 17 seconds back to P4, I wouldn't be surprised if they just took a foot off the gas a little bit. You know, considering for 2.5 hours, or at least 2 hours of this race, we've had the top 4 cars separated by about 2 seconds. And now we've got a 17-second gap between P2 and P3. I think you can safely assume they have took the foot off the gas a little bit and just trying to bring the car home with 19 minutes remaining. So I'll just take my quick final refreshment break off this evening. You are watching Formula Racing League TV, ACC PlayStation 5 season finale at Kyalami. I'll be back with you in a few moments' time. And we're back. So 16 minutes and 30 seconds remaining of this 3-hour season finale. Are we going to have a late twist in this final chapter of this epic season on PlayStation 5? Who knows? The car on your screens is driving superbly. Haven't got too many battles on track at this moment in time, which is probably the first time this evening, after 2 hours and 45 minutes of racing, that we really haven't got that many on-track battles. As we just see Massa there for CDTV Esports just lapping a back marker Lamborghini. That was the 367 of EGT Green Oleg. And Czech Console Racing in the Aston Martin in P10. They've had a very solid race for the Aston tonight. Going along nicely. And how are our good friends over at Virtual Racing League getting on? In P12 with Thomas Vonderchek driving with a backup set of pedals tonight after having a little bit of equipment failure before the race. His teammate Kramer, though, has driven very well. And they're in P12, started P18 on the grid, so I think they'll be happy with that, really, considering that one driver is driving with backup equipment that isn't as good as their main equipment. The joys and the pains of sim racing. It's worth noting, though, the battle for the race win is not over. That gap has come down to 2.3. I believe it was around about 5 seconds, 5, 10, 15 minutes ago. So it is coming down slightly. So Will Friedman, the smoking Frenchman, is just potentially edging closer to Ben Milden. But Ben will just be trying to get the car home and praying that something happens to SBR 77. And I know they are the same team, they are both SBR teams battling for the title here, but there will be that rivalry to win. But I think as well it's worth saying that they probably will be happy for their sister team to win the title if they go on and win it, SBR 77. But I think there will still be an element of competition going on within the team. But the BMWs, it's also worth noting that the BMWs currently locking out the front row of P1 and P2. And we saw the BMWs have an extremely strong start to this race on lap 1, overtaking the 77 Ferrari, who was pole position, SBR 77. They were pole, but the Ferraris quickly swallowed the Ferrari up. And I think the BMW has been the stronger car around here tonight. It's been close between the BMW and the Ferrari. The Ferrari has got the quickest lap so far with Turn 1 Sim Racing, Danny McCutcheon holding that purple lap. I think that was actually set by Adam Anderson in the first half an hour. That quickest lap of the race was set in a little bit cooler temps. The race did start around about 6 AM, I believe. So it's not a surprise that purple lap hasn't been broken, considering it was set in cooler temps. But yeah, back to my original point, it has certainly been close between the Ferrari and the BMW tonight, but I think the BMW has just looked a little bit more stable. It's not a surprise, as I think the BMW is a bit more of a stable car to drive. Certainly heavier, but it is a lovely car to drive for an endurance race. I am slightly biased, as I pretty much exclusively drive the BMW, but it is a great car to drive in endurance. It's just so smooth, so solid. You can really throw it around and know where the limit is. I think we're seeing that shown tonight with the top two BMWs locking out front of the grid. So the gap between SBR 77 and turn 1 has just come down by 3 seconds. It was at 17, it's now 14 seconds, but that is going to take, well, a massive swing for a 14-second gap to disappear in 11 minutes remaining of the race. But it is coming down. But I think that is just being managed. I think that isn't due to the speed in all respect to turn 1. I don't think that's due to the speed. I think that is just due to the speed of SBR just probably letting off the gas a little bit. As we see the McLaren just getting out of the way. I think that's Lieshout potentially getting out of the way. So, clock is ticking into the final 10 minutes of this race. Car number 77 is 10 minutes away from lifting the imaginary trophy on the podium. And SBR, for 2 seasons in a row, will have a team winning the title. And they'll be battling it all out again at Monza for the 12 hours of Monza. That is going to be live on air by a team of commentators, live on Formula Racing League TV. So SBR will certainly be one of the favourites going into that race, as we see the Ferrari of Danny McCutcheon just getting a little bit excited over that curb, almost losing it. So yeah, as I say, SBR will probably be one of the favourites going into the Monza 12 hours, but I'm sure there'll be other teams taking part in that race who will have something to say about that. The likes of Virtual Racing League, BRC Racing Team, the French Connection, Turn 1 Sim Racing, and others. Gap now 2 seconds between Will Friedman and Ben Milden. Let's just keep our eyes on this. 8 minutes remaining. Obviously Ben has got that 3 track warning, so he's probably just trying to get the car home, not pushing the limits too much. He's probably got a couple of attempts worth of lap time in the car if needed, and he's probably thinking, if that gap gets anywhere near 1.5 seconds, he's probably going to start just squeezing the throttle pedal a little bit more to try and manage that gap. As we see Thomas Kramer in front for Virtual Racing League, car number 87 AMG Mercedes in front. Let's go on board with, here he is, Kramer. That's the leading car. So Kramer in the middle, sandwiched between Ben Milden and Will Friedman. Let's just go on board for a final time. Let's just go on board with Ben Milden and just see how he's doing in that car on board. Just bear with me. Here he is on board with the leading car. Let's just see how he's driving it this lap, bearing in mind he's got 3 track warnings. So that was on board with Ben Milden and Will Friedman. We've just seen how they've been to be just handling the track in the final 5 minutes. Oh, let's jump on board with the Ferrari of BRC. 4 tenths behind Danny McCutcheon. So this is the battle for 4th place. We have an on-track battle for the remaining 3.5 minutes. Let's just see what Bergerton can do here to put Ferrari v Ferrari. Can they put the Turn 1 Sim Racing team under pressure? Danny McCutcheon is a very cool cucumber though in the cockpit of that Ferrari. He won't be bothered by the car behind him. He'll be relishing this battle. They've had quite a bit of a lonely race, Turn 1 Sim Racing in P4. So I think they'll be enjoying this. Danny McCutcheon will certainly be up for a fight here, but Bergerton is looking extremely racy. On board with Bergerton now, Ferrari. That is Danny McCutcheon up ahead. He's got a good run here. Bergerton up the hill. Danny McCutcheon just covering that inside. Nice on the brakes though. And this could come down to the hill. This is where you can get a little bit of a suction, but he just dips the rear tyres ever so slightly on that grass. Just going to cost him half a tenth, maybe, probably a little bit less than that. Oh, I think they're on the brakes there. Bergerton is a lot better. He's a lot closer in the braking zones. I think he just seems a little bit more confident than McCutcheon on the brakes. What can he do going into turn 1? I think it's a little bit too far back. Couple of laps remaining here. You can just see that in the braking zones, Bergerton is just a lot better in the braking. He's gone a little bit deep there. That's why he's gone a little bit deep and wide. And that's going to compromise him through now the next few corners. Gap in front between Ben Milden and Will Friedman, 1.1 seconds. But the key thing is SPR 77, car number 77, Cobra Alerts in P3 in the race. They are 1 minute and 12 seconds away from getting their hands on this trophy. Season 2 driver swap on PlayStation 5 ACC Formula Racing League. They are a minute away from winning the title. And it's been an epic race, an absolute epic race. The gap now though, under a second between Friedman. Are we going to have some late drama on the final lap? So there we are. You just heard it, ladies and gentlemen. Leader is on the final lap. Ben Milden crosses the line, 1 lap to go, and he's under a little bit of late pressure from the smoking Frenchman and Will Friedman. Ben Milden will probably be smelling the Marlboro Gold coming from the car behind. Let's just keep our eyes on Bergerton and McCutcheon as well. These guys are doing the best to keep me on my toes in the final lap of the race. Let's just go on board with the leaders. I don't want to miss a change for the lead of the race. Sorry guys, you may be having a great battle, but I've got to keep my eyes on what's happening here up front. Ben Milden and Will Friedman, 2 great drivers, 2 guys who I know very well on PlayStation 5. And we've got a McLaren parked to the side. They're just keeping out of the way. If so, that is extremely kind of them. So here we are, half a lap remaining. It all comes down to this to win the race. They may not be winning the title tonight, but they would certainly want to win the race. SPR Endurance. They'll have some bragging rights at least. But a few corners to go. I think Ben Milden's got Friedman covered. But they have got the most challenging corner on the track to come. You've just got to keep it careful around here, Ben Milden. He does. So 1 corner to navigate, and Ben Milden will take the checkered flag. Ben Milden and Melvin Crows for SBR Endurance, car number 1, reigning title championship holders. They will flash their lights, they will take the checkered flag. Ben Milden and Melvin Cruz takes the checkered flag. P1 race winners here tonight at Kyalami. Will Friedman and Thomas Bellarmine take P2. But, ladies and gentlemen, car number 77, champions elect. These are your new driver swap champions of PlayStation 5, ACC, Formula Racing League, SBR 77, the Ferrari of Kobe Alerts takes the checkered flag, and they are your title winners. An absolute huge congratulations to them. Fully deserved, and an epic battle. Danny McCutcheon and Burgerting. So Danny McCutcheon has took the flag ahead of Burgerting, 0.4 behind the Turn 1 Sim Racing and BRC Racing team, giving us some late last lap drama. Stilts in 1 second slower takes P6, Van der Waal P7, Bates is P8, Baumgartner is going to take P9, and Barter for Czech Console Racing and Massa have both got 130-second penalties for exceeding driver stint limits on the last lap. Wow. So that is going to be interesting. Yeah, they've been disqualified. I think the stewards will probably look at that. To see what's happened there. But they've been disqualified. I think it's the same thing is going to happen for Massa when he crosses the checkered flag. Yeah. So 2 cars have been disqualified as they cross the line. I think the stewards may look at that and may reinstate, but I don't know. I can't comment on what will happen there. I think that will be going to the stewards' room to see what finishing positions those guys take. Let's just give you a full roundup. Well, talk about having 30 minutes of no racing and then all happening in the last lap. Whew. Let's just compose ourselves for a minute, ladies and gentlemen. We have a new champion, a new title holder in the driver swap on PlayStation 5 tonight, and that is Nikola Buzov and Kobe Alert. An absolute cracking drive from the SBR 77 team. They have won the title tonight, finishing 3rd in the race overall. So, a full grid rundown. Ben Milden, Melvin Cruz is your race winner with a total time of 180 minutes, 52 seconds and 818, can't get my words out, 104 laps in total. The BMW takes the race win for SBR Endurance. Will Friedman, Thomas Bellarmine, did not mean to do that, apologies. Will Friedman and Thomas Bellarmine for the French Connection team will finish P2 with the BMW locking out the front row. As I said, SBR 77, P3 overall for Kobalut and Nikola Buzov. Danny McCutcheon and Adam Anderson for Turn 1 Sim Racing, a very solid result for them in P4, surviving late pressure from the BRC Racing team who finished P5. Stilts and Milhooker for 1 second slower, finishing P6. That was a very good result considering the damage they sustained in the first 45 minutes. They had a big accident within the opening stint, so well done to those. The 2 Van der Waals, which I believe are father and son team, P7 overall for Val Racing team, cracking result for those. Bates and Duffin P8, Baumgartner and Stein for JWB Racing P9, Kramer and Thomas, I've done it again, I've clicked the buttons, apologies. You can tell I'm not used to PlayStation 5. Kramer and Von der Eck P10, a great result considering brake failure, and then the server reset. That's not what I wanted to happen. Thank you very much. Go back to the standings. P11 for Baltic Sea Racing for Moller and Bitterman, the German team coming home in P11 in the 394 Porsche. Dennis Oleg and Sorge for EGT Green P12 in the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo 2. Karuna and Sterling in the sister car for Turn 1 Sim Racing, also in the Lamborghini for P13. Vitterbol and Van Lieshout for Southern State Racing finished P14 in the McLaren. And then we have a couple of BMWs with Leach and Fernie for Simplay Racing car number 3. Well, actually, they're showing twice there, so that Leach and Fernie are showing 15th and 16th. I'm not sure what's happening there. ACC doing ACC things. And then 96 laps down, did not finish the race, was Hosefeld and Derber. So, ladies and gentlemen, that has been an epic 3 hours. Thank you so much for joining me for the 3 hours of that race. I have managed to survive it on my own for 3 hours. Apologies for some rather random conversation throughout the time, but I hope you have enjoyed it. It's been an absolute pleasure for me to be back on the commentary box on PlayStation 5 after racing on PC for the last few months. So yeah, it's great to see some of the guys. I feel honoured to commentate on that epic race, and well done to SBR 77. I hope you will have a cracking weekend. Please do keep your eyes out on the FRL social channels for the upcoming races. We are currently in the off season on PS5 and PC. The new seasons will be starting in November, so please do get involved. If you want to get involved, if you want some competitive hard racing, then Formula Racing League is the place to be. So yeah, that's it. Have a great weekend. Take care. I've been Lewis Robinson. I'll catch you next time. Take care. Bye bye.